Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back from Creepjack. We're back from my letter session. We are here with something that we wanted to do last week, but as you know, you start to plan something and then things get in the way and you have to postpone stuff. And this is why we're doing it this time. That was the bad news. Last week we couldn't do it. But the good news is last week we initially intended to do it with 2 people and now we're 3. So every bad side also has a good side. My name is Neo. Welcome. You know me. You might not know the other guys here, and they are here for a reason, because these guys are my partners in crime when it comes to Raraland, the best event on the planet, the hottest ticket in the universe. And we thought, because we didn't do it last time, we sit down for like an hour or 2, do a little podcast and tell you our perspective on what went down at Raraland, what went down before Raraland even happened, what are obstacles in organization, what went as planned, what didn't go as planned, and why the hell does this Neo guy paint his fingernails? All of that on the agenda, whatever, for the day. Obviously, if you guys have questions, post them in the chat. We'll go through them one by one, and we also have a feedback survey up at Rara Feedback, I think, in the comments here on Twitch. Yep. I think it's Rara Feedback. There we go. But of course, you know me. I don't have to talk that much. You might know these guys' faces and their nicknames because some of them have a VIP status here on the channel. Others don't. So let's introduce you guys. The guy without a VIP status, Benni. Who are you and what's your job and why am I working with you?
Yeah, why you're working with, I don't know, but you luckily do. So yeah, I'm Benni. I'm from Being Esports. I'm one of the 2 founders. The other one is also here. That's the VIP guy. We founded Being Esports around 3 years ago. We started off with PUBG, and in Being Esports, I'm one of the project leads. I'm also CEO of the company behind it. And with Warcraft and with Raraland, I am responsible for everything that is behind the scenes, so to speak. Everything that is in the back office, everything around tech, around stream, around the players, and the setup in there. This is what I am doing when we have an event like Raraland, and I think that's enough for now. Gideon, take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Gideon. I'm the counterpart to basically everything that Benni just said, the second co-founder of Being Esports. Oh, what a coincidence. Also 3 years ago, obviously. Since then, we've been doing a lot of esports titles. And luckily, last year, we also picked up Warcraft together with Neo. We've done a little online thing with the Hello Warcraft Cup that we've done. And since then, we've also done the 2 Raralands together, where I'm in charge of everything that happens in front of the curtain, basically. So all of the administrative stuff, a lot of the planning, all of the time schedule things. And then obviously talking to a lot of you lovely people, at least those who attended the event live, have visited me and my team on the front desk of Raraland.
That was pretty insane. I get a lot of praise for what I do, but you deserve that as well. Absolute freaking workhorses. These guys sleep less than I do, and that's not very healthy, but certainly very impressive.
It's also not much fun.
What? Working with me is super fun.
No, yeah, working with you is fun, but sleeping less than you is not. Working with you is great. So it definitely is. You're a charming personality with great fingernails.
Gideon sounded a bit screwed. New mic. Yeah, it's just the excitement. It will slow down. We did a sound check before the stream and I critiqued that as well. And then we didn't change anything and it fixed itself. So it will fix itself. Yeah. But
I figured it out. My cam is a bit blurry on the other hand. So we have one good mic and a blurry cam and the other way around. True professionals here in the stream.
Of course. I mean, usually we have Remo with like 1040p. So you guys look stellar in comparison. No worries. All right, guys. We obviously did 2 Raralands together. Was it certain for you guys that we do a second edition after the first one?
Oh, not at all. Not even one bit, actually. Those who've been attending or watching online have noticed a slight change of venue, also a slight change of where it actually took place in Germany. So the first one, obviously, 2022, took place at the Arcadia Gaming House in Germany. While the house still stands quite tall in Hamburg, it is sadly no longer a gaming house. So if we would have been able to continue working with them, which sadly was not an option for them, there would have been a great chance that we would have had a second Raraland there in Hamburg once again. But since that was not the case, we actually thought we would likely not be able to host another Raraland event, let alone any other offline events for any other esports titles that we have by being at Being Esports. And then there was a very, very, very long period of searching for new potential venues that would be willing to host these events that we really like. Small niche communities, but a lot of really loving people within those communities. And that took ages until we, by, I would say, mere coincidence, found Basetech in Dortmund.
Yeah, that's true. And it was really like we were a bit shocked. So we, as Gideon said, we were starting off plans for this year's Raraland with Arcadia, and we just kicked everything off and tried to get the paperwork together. And then all of a sudden, I think it was in December last year, so pretty much 1 year ago, we were called, or we were summoned into a meeting, and they just said, we are sorry, we are closing the entire thing down. And then we went, we had a lot of different ideas. We contacted a lot of people to find somebody, and in the end, it was Basetech. But this took, I think, when was it fixed with Basetech? I think it was May or June or anything, right?
First talk started out in March, and then it took a long time to convince them. It took a long time to convince us that they would have the capabilities and the know-how that we needed. May, June sounds about right.
Yeah, and in an ideal world, that's not the time where you decide on a venue. That's the time where you're looking for sponsors already, eh?
Yeah, latest, I would say.
So normally how it goes is when you're planning an offline event, you have about 1 year's time of planning. I mean, for the people who were there, they at least know that it is an entire venue. There are many people involved, many things have to go together. So you normally start a year ahead, and as soon as you have the venue and you have a date, you start looking for sponsors, because when we're talking partners, it is for them, of course, that they plan their entire year marketing-wise as well. And so if you go ahead in mid of the second quarter of the year and you ask for partnership, they often respond, well, yeah, we would love to, but sorry, our budget is already placed. Nothing we can do. And in this time span, you are basically fixed with the partners and start planning the event already and going into it, because there is a lot of stuff. It is the people, the tech stuff, ticketing, all kinds of things that need months of planning. And if you do not have the funding for it by then, it is rather stressful. It's rather rough.
Yeah, it's kind of the cat that bites his own tail, or whatever, or the dog, some animal, the snake, I don't know, some kind of animal that bites itself. So you can't start looking for sponsors if you don't have a venue. You can't start planning ahead with everything else because you don't have sponsors and no value, of course. No venue. We have a lot of value, but we had no venue. I think I communicated that a bit with my stream, that Arcadia was no more, and a lot of people reached out saying, hey, I got a big garage, haha, you want to do it at my place? So what are we looking for in a venue when we run an event like this, Gideon?
So first of all, do I sound better now?
You sound better, but you're slightly quiet. I will boost you because I turned you down before.
I can likely also do that on my side. I'm updating the setup as we speak.
Perfect.
My lovely girlfriend just quickly brought me her USB microphone.
My sister. Greetings.
Your sister, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We have to make that an urban legend. So what do we look for in a venue? So number one, I know this is going to be a bit boring, but number one is basically a venue that shares our vision and is some sort of just as desperate as we are, so that they would be willing to host the event for a very limited cost. Basedeck came in very handy here because they had not opened yet, and they were basically looking for a company to find all of their flaws for them, I would say. No, it's actually not that hard, but they were very welcoming, very open to let us into their venue before they actually opened, so that it would actually be a test for them and all of their individual facilities within the venue. So that's obviously number one, a place where we can actually do it, where they don't say, well, of course you can do it here, give us 50,000 euros, which is basically the budget of the entire thing. So that's number one. Number two is obviously enough space and technical capabilities to host our event. Warcraft is super easy in some parts, which I know some of you will hardly disagree with from the community. We don't need the strongest computers. We don't need the biggest space for each individual playing. But we obviously need enough space for a lot of the lovely people who want to come. And as it seems, even Basedeck wasn't really big enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously selling out at 3 minutes, we could have needed more space. But yeah, it's also so much easier to do it with a gaming venue than with something else. Like I reached out to a couple of people who might know a place, and it would be fitting, for example, to run this event in a castle or a keep or whatever, because it's a fantasy setting. It would be nice. And there is a castle here around the corner, and I knew some people, and they invited me, like, I do want to take a look, maybe you want to do the event here. Lots of space, cool setting, and they said, yeah, feel free, we do nothing here, take the venue whenever you want it, but there's like 2 things you might need to know. There's no plummeting, and there's no internet here, so you would have to take care of that, which is obviously goes way over our heads. And it's other things like, a gaming venue has tables there, has chairs there, has PCs there, and we don't have the logistics to ship a train of equipment across Germany. So yeah, that certainly helped.
Yeah, from the tech side, it's mostly from the tech side. We also talked to some hotels who have like rooms or big rooms that are used for fairs or anything alike. The big problem is that we come to them and we tell them, well, we need at least 130 desks, 130 chairs, we need 130 PCs, we need at least 150 monitors, and it would be great if we would have a stack of peripherals if somebody forgets theirs. And this is mostly the part where all of these other venues are going, yeah, we got the space, but everything else you have to bring. And it's not, I mean, this is just the pure basics, right? We are not talking about now viewing experience and about stream and about casters, people who are watching. We're not talking about the bar or whatever. So there are many, many, many little bits and pieces that have to fit together after we found a venue that, as Yannick already said, shares our vision. We are very passionate about what we do. We also are completely bootstrapped and independent, so there's no investor or anything behind being esports, and therefore we try very, very hard to let the people experience esports as we would love to experience esports ourselves, and hope that this meets the expectations of many of the people out there. And I think we are doing a good job there, but it is very rough to find other people with the same idea in mind, and not only going for, okay, how can we make more money, or how can we make the most out of it, and yeah, let's cut this, let's cut that, because that only creates costs, even though we say, no, let's keep that, because that's something the community loves. And as soon as you found them, it is even harder. So we found multiple people who would share this vision, actually, but they simply did not have the technical and the very basic ingredients that a venue needs.
I would add on that I still think that the hotels drastically missed out, and I was shocked that they didn't really share our vision. So we need to bring some spicy things in the end. We need to give some interesting points to the community. So one of the very important things is that for those who are not actually living in Germany and who have the insane luck to live in a country where politics and I would say general public is more open to the idea of esports and gaming. That's not the case in Germany. And we have actually been in contact with a couple of hotels that are really struggling. We by luck found someone who's really big in the hotel, who has a very big network in the hotel industry. And they basically gave us 5 hotels who are close to filing bankruptcy. And we went to them and told them, hey, we will bring 300 people into your hotel if you just give it to us for free. And since it was gaming related, they still said no. So they just basically said no to all of the money that we would have brought in, because people like to drink at Raraland, people like to maybe eat something at Raraland. But that was shocking for me, that we basically went to them and said, hey, give us your place for free. We will sell 300 hotel rooms, we will sell a lot of beer and all of that stuff. And they were not willing just because it's gaming.
Yeah, that was, to sum up this first part, we were all a bit shocked at the beginning because we couldn't use the venue even after a successful year for us in 2022. And then we spent half a year, or you guys spent half a year, finding a location, half a year which we could have used for planning and financing this entire thing. So basically, we were half a year behind schedule before the real planning even started.
Yeah, and I mean this. I think that's absolutely logical. As long as we do not have the venue, it is very hard to plan any step. So it was not. We were not only half a year behind. We were just completely starting from the beginning. About 9 months later than we would have the other way around. So because of course you cannot plan how should the players sit, how should everything go, how is the technical stuff going, how should the front desk work, and so forth and so on, as long as you don't know how the venue is. And what made it even more complicated was that as soon as we had the venue, the base tech, it was not finished yet. So the first time, Yannick can quickly elaborate on that, he was there, it was basically an empty building without walls.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was still, I'm gonna be really mean today, but I just want to get that out. It was still more beautiful than the Arcadia was, even shortly before the Arcadia closed down. One of the things that the base deck people really know about is design and lighting and all of that stuff, and actually finishing a place before opening it. I'm really sorry. I love everyone involved on the ground level at the Arcadia. I just am not really in agreement with the way that it was managed all in all, and they put a weirdly big roadblock right into our planning for this year by what they have done. But let's go back to base tech. There was nothing. It was just nothing, and that was 4 months before our event would have taken place, I think, 4.5 maybe. We had these weird little evolution steps in our way of seeing the event. I sent over a video from the entirely empty venue, and then Benni and Neo were going like, oh my god, is this actually a place where we can do an event in like 4.5 months? And then I visited a second time, sent over a few more videos. A little late, I'm sorry, Yannis, I know you wanted them faster. Then it was already a lot better, and then they really ramped it up towards the end. I mean, we will share some stories how it looked like when we arrived at Tuesday before Raraland. We still had a lot of stuff to do, but they really know how to design this well. And I think everyone who visited both events and who saw both events in pictures maybe noticed quite a big difference.
Yeah. All right, that was the first part of the journey, and then we finally got the venue done. So Benni, maybe you have more expertise than this. When you do an event like we do with like 115 players and 300 viewers, how big should the staff be realistically to plan and execute?
Well, how I guess the question is how many people I would love to have to do that. It is definitely around 15 to 20 to have everything covered accordingly and properly. But guess what? We are no 20 people planning that.
Yeah, I guess we have the Thursday weekly meetings. This is why I never did a Thursday cast this entire year, guys, in case you were wondering. We are five people?
Yeah.
5 people.
Yeah, so basically it is, as Yannick already described, he did a lot of the planning stuff this year. and took care of most of it. So he is basically the big head in this Raraland. Then there's me, who is taking care of a lot of the technical stuff and to get the venue in shape so that everything works. Then we, of course, have you, Yannis, for all the community feedback and the broadcasting things. And then we have a few other people that you might have seen. We have Paul, who is It's Your Games, who is our main producer. Actually, it was his first event as a producer. The last years I was producer, and he tried to learn as much as possible, but I think he succeeded pretty well. Then we have Walflosse, who took care of our partners. And then there is our social media colleague Lucas, always there, and who is just in the meeting to hear everything and to learn and to know what's up, to then place respective posts on social media. And he also helps Yannick a lot with tasks that are important to like managerial tasks. So we were now I counted all of them, but it was 7. So we were 7 people, and what you would normally have is you would have like the project manager, then you have one for the creative department, then you have one for the admin department, then you have one for the cast and streaming department, you have one for the side program and everything around it, you have one for scenery and decoration, and you have all these different departments, and they have their teams below them, and this is how you normally would approach it, and this is how I come to the number 15 to 20.
Yeah, that would have certainly been helpful. Of course, I had my helping hands as well on the admin side. Shout out to Helpstone and Duro especially.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, a freaking lot in, I think, starting August or something. But this is not people working on it full time. You guys have your PUBG and Dota events. I have to do Warcraft casting. This is basically a hobby of 7 to 8 people doing this. So we were delayed for half a year. We were severely understaffed. But the finances must have looked great, Yannick, right? I mean, we probably had some great funding and all the money we would have loved to have.
So to put it in perspective, because I don't want to seem like welfare here, or I don't want to make us look like welfare people here. We did not finish Raraland 2022 financially that great. How money specific should I be in this? Like,
I mean, it's your company. You can be as specific as you want to.
Awesome. So everybody who looks at the amount of tickets that we sell and who roughly knows what the stream from Back to Warcraft rakes in roughly, and then also what a partner usually provides for an event of this size, probably will notice that once you have a prize pool of 10,000 euros and you have to pay for flights and for hotels and for food for all of the 8 pros. On top of that, all of the staff and all of those things, you roughly end up somewhere where the budget where you are at like a zero-sum game at plus minus 0 is somewhere in between 55 and 70,000 euros. That's what you really need to do this event if there's no rental fee for the venue itself. And we were below that both times, but, and that's a very big but, it got much better this year, up to a point where people bought so much merch that we might actually reach that at least 0, that illustrious 0 that we really want to reach. And to really add on top of that, our vision with being esports, we are still at a stage with our company where we are all about building brand, building network, building these projects, creating reaching milestones that we can then communicate to potential sponsors. And in that regard, we had a freaking successful Raraland this year. So I assume that after 2 years that were really struggling financially and where we reached a couple of situations where we were like, we really need another 1,000 euros to spend on this, but we simply did not have them. I don't think that situation will be the case if we do another Raraland in the future.
Yeah. First suggestion here, make tickets more expensive.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Here comes, first of all, we'll probably do that, but here comes my text that I said to a lot of people at the event, because a lot of people said, why are the tickets so cheap? So, we started selling tickets. When did we start selling tickets? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't really remember, but I think we can find out really quickly, right? We started and we stopped selling tickets quite close to each other, I would say.
That's right. I would say we made the decision of how expensive stuff is in around June to July-ish.
Yeah, and we said we have to get out the tickets because many people are traveling from across the world. They have to book flights, hotels, and so forth and so on. So I think we started early August, and it of course ended early August. But maybe Yannick can find out.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling right now. I think the most important thing here that everybody should know is that originally we would have made tickets more expensive comparing to the event that we did in Hamburg last year. But since this was a fully new venue, once again, and since we had no idea how the venue would perform, how the event would be, look, and feel for everybody, we wanted to keep the ticket price as low as possible, so that we could still say, hey, this is the first time at Baystag. Please bear with us if some things don't really go that well. We didn't anticipate to be in that situation, but it was basically a fully blank canvas all over again. And since we had all of these struggles and all of these points where it could have gone very wrong, we thought, let's make the tickets as cheap as possible so that nobody will be annoyed if the internet goes out for an hour, or Blizzard shuts down the login servers for Warcraft for 2 hours.
Is that some foreshadowing for what?
Yeah, that might be some foreshadowing. Let's talk about that later.
Yeah, to add to my point, if we made the decision around June, I always say it, for some weird reason, June is doom for Warcraft streaming and the scene in general. I have no idea why it is. It's not a summer thing.
No, it's not?
No, it's not. Like, July is amazing. August is amazing. June is a dumpster fire. When we had 1,800 average viewers in January, we had 900 in June. When we had 5K max viewers in January, we had 2.5K in June. So I was very pessimistic, as I always am in June. Don't talk to me in June. It's the worst month of the year. And that's when we made the decision. Like, can we fill this venue? We have more room, more space, more people that can play, more people that can come and visit. And I said, oh man, of course we can make it a little expensive, but will people actually come? Can we make this packed? I'd rather want 20 more people there than increase the price to like $200 a ticket. And that played a big part in why the tickets were so cheap. In hindsight, we sold out in 3 minutes, but in my June mind, that was absolutely not possible. So, we learned for next year, that's for sure. Because you come, apparently.
Oh man, I just found out a really crazy thing that I didn't really realize, or had not realized yet. Last year, we actually had the ticket sale open for almost 20 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn,
3
I don't
weeks.
remember.
People didn't trust.
We went from 3 weeks to 3 minutes.
Yeah. This year, people pulled it out of our hands, even if it wasn't live.
That's right. Yeah, so I guess that's the situation, how we finally were able to start working on this thing.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe to add another point, because Yannick is of course absolutely right, and I don't want to lie to anybody. I mean, we are a company. Our main job is to host esports events, so it is of course for us crucial to at least get some money out of it. And of course, this is it is seen as an investment. But what we want to do, not only in Warcraft but all our projects, is that we rather like to invest into a community that understands that we are on their side, and we are not just coming there trying to strip the money from them and go away. So it's a long-term thing. But I hope that next year with the same menu, we can hit another level of efficiency and bring even more stuff, because most of the money we make is actually not going into our own pockets. But we push it back into the projects we have until they are in a way that we say, okay, now we reached a level that it is so absolutely amazing that we cannot make them any better. And I think even though it was a great experience, we can still do so and could put in more and more. And the more budget we have, the greater it will be.
Okay, some question from chat. How much was the ticket? I think a player ticket was for the weekend 120.
Depends on what you would have bought, right? It was 100 for a player ticket for 3 days plus Thursday, and then 25 euros for a viewer ticket for the entire weekend. And then we had a supporter ticket, which was also immediately sold out. I don't really know if it was immediately sold out because everyone wanted to support so much or because there were no other tickets anymore. But the supporter ticket was basically a normal player ticket, plus you add some more money to the event budget. That was 150. And then we had a VIP ticket, 25 of them actually.
And they got a pin.
Yeah, and the supporters got a pin and eternal good karma, which is way more important, obviously. And yeah, the VIP ticket was 230 euros for the very special person treatment.
Yeah. All right, that was the setup then. How confident were you that the venue would be ready when we need it?
Oh, that came in waves. It was like a really good book. Like in Germany, we call it the Spannungsbogen. I don't really know how to translate that directly, but I was not very confident in the beginning, and then I got more and more confident. And maybe we have to make some bigger steps right now. I see it's already 8:45. Holy. So I would say there were 3 major breaking points. Number 1 was, will they actually finish the venue in terms of having all of the doors we need and all of the security stuff that we need to get a permit to host the event? That was dealt with quite quickly, I would say, because of the architect team doing it was quite efficient. But the other 2 points, especially the internet point, was the big breaking thing. I don't know how many people realize. I don't know how open you've been about that. But,
0.
All right, can I be open about it?
Yes, of course. Do it.
So 14 days prior to the event, we had no idea whether we would have any internet at all. So desperately bad that we actually thought about getting 20 Starlink thingies on the roof of the venue to see if it would work in that way. And then I think 9 days prior to the event taking place, we got the confirmation that we have internet, which is exactly the day on which we needed to report the IP addresses to Blizzard so they would actually whitelist the venue. So that was the roughest thing. I'm very confident about sharing that now. I would have not done so 9 days prior to the event, I would have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now that everything basically worked out, but I think that it came in waves is a good point. I was very confident that because the people we are working with at the base stack, and now we know them even better, we really trusted them, and they said, yeah, we got this, everything is fine, and so forth and so on, and therefore we were very confident that they will finish everything, and in the end, I mean, they somewhat did, but there was also a lot of stuff that was not ready yet. We had to finish many things, but then when suddenly this internet thing happened, and when they told us 5 days prior, yeah, well, we are still missing 50 monitors, I got nervous.
Yeah. I would like to give that question back to you. How confident were you, Yannis?
Oh, absolutely not. Like, not at all. You showed me the empty venue and you said, oh, I have a vision here. I see it all coming together. And all I saw was just bricks and concrete. Like, okay, I trust him. I trusted him with Rara 22. I'm going to trust him here as well. I was super worried about the internet situation as well, because if you guys followed the Experion events that we did, if you don't whitelist the event and like 5 people try to log in, the entire venue gets blocked and you can't log in anymore. Nobody can play. That would have ruined the entire weekend. We don't know how to solve it, really, and how fast that gets unblacklisted. So you always have to reach out to the 1.5 dear people that I still know at Blizzard Entertainment.
Who's the full one? Who's the half one?
Well,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Actually, it's the Hobbit.
the full person is the community manager lady in EU, and the half person is the community manager in America. So I deal a lot with the European part, so I know her a little better.
All right.
Yeah, and when she told me, brother, I need the IPs the day after BlizzCon, and in the meeting prior to BlizzCon, we had not a single digit of the IP. That was terrifying.
There was a big likelihood that there would be like some double dots and a 1 somewhere in there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Maybe a 0 somewhere as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was stressful. We were all panicking. I remember that call. I was stressed as fuck. Benni was stressed as fuck. Yannick, I don't really know, to be honest.
We have a really good team of 3 people, I think. I'm the hopeless optimist, and then Benni is the controlling realist, and you are the person who, and I mean this in the best way, annoys everyone so much with every little question to make it all work out in the end. So I think that's a really, really good team that we have together. Maybe to give everyone here some key points of challenges. So as I already mentioned, 14 days before the event, we had no internet. 6 days before the event, we had no chairs for the main viewing area. 5 days before the event, we were 50 monitors short and 15 computers or 20 computers short. 2 days before the event, we had no power cables for the monitors, which we then noticed when we arrived there.
And for the computers.
And for the computers also.
40
Kaltgerätestecker. Yeah, the good old Kaltgerätestecker. So I guess the waves that we were referring to are more understandable now. And these things just kept coming. One thing that we discussed today when we had a little feedback meeting internally together with Yannis was the event was pretty doomed. I think you said that on Twitter as well, right? The event, like everything that could have gone wrong in the preparation process did go wrong. I think Murphy had a really strong law this year.
Yeah. Did you mention his phone already?
Oh yeah!
Shut
yeah,
up.
his phone got stolen on the first day. God damn!
Yeah, that was.
So we lost access to everything related to Back to Warcraft for right on the day before the event.
And that is all my Google Docs, because of course I have 2-factor enabled pretty much everywhere. And then I lost my phone while checking into the hotel, and we couldn't find it, and nobody brought it back. So I had no access to my Google Docs where the entire preparation was in. I lost access to Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the socials, which of course we would have loved to use to give you guys a little impression of how we set everything up. I lost access to my bank accounts. Nobody could contact me. I lost access to my Discord, where all my contacts are when it comes to Warcraft 3, including the people at Blizzard. Just, little bit of a foreshadowing, including the people at Blizzard. That was terrible. Like, losing that phone is not just like, oh, I can't pay with my phone anymore. I have to get the card out, and I can't respond to my friends, and I can't play Warcraft Rumble anymore. Oh, that was horrible.
With the words of one of our dearest colleagues, it really sucks when your phone gets stolen, right? It doesn't really suck, right? Does it really suck?
Man, that's the worst, isn't it?
The worst.
Oh god, dude, it's the worst. It was the worst. I had no YouTube entertainment when I went to bed. That was also terrible. But yeah, losing access to all of that was pretty painful. So yeah, somehow this all got somewhat resolved. The cable situation, at least.
I just want to shout out the Base Tech here, because that sounds like they are a horrible venue, but all of these tech issues, it wasn't us solely who resolved it. They are they were very, very eager, and they knew that this is a very bad situation, so they put in everything they had. I think not the CEO, but the manager of the Base Tech, he drove to MediaMarkt and IKEA and whatnot on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday around like 5 or 6 times to just buy stuff together that should be there, but it wasn't there due to different reasons. So they for most of this stuff, they weren't even responsible. They ordered everything in time, and it simply did not get delivered. And they put everything in that they could to make it happen, so that we at least had something, just to not to give a wrong impression here.
They are like firefighters when they are close to losing their job because there are not enough fires. They are really efficient at creating new ones themselves, but they are also really damn good at extinguishing them. So that's something where we have to give major respect to them. In the end, the whole thing felt a bit as if it was held together by bubblegum or something, but it at least held, and it's still holding. So that's a good point.
Yeah, so they have PCs now, they have screens, all the chairs are there. We actually helped to set up quite a bit of that ourselves when we arrived on Tuesday. We're usually time that we wanted to spend on other stuff like programming, organizing staff, etc., etc. So that was basically the Tuesday. My phone gone. All the access gone. By the way, that's also the reason why we couldn't control the ads on the channel, because nobody had access to Twitch, so we couldn't hit the button where it says don't play the ad right now. So sorry about that. But it was not possible. You could have subbed or you could have watched on YouTube. So
exactly. Twitch Prime is not a crime.
Twitch Prime doesn't prevent from ads.
Oh, it does not?
No. Well, only in some regions, I think. It's kind of weird,
right,
but yeah. Anyway, YouTube was there, so at least there's that. So the smart people among you weren't bothered by that. So that was Tuesday, and I think Tuesday, I had like 3 moments where I thought this is not gonna work, because this venue has a program called ggLeap, and that makes it so you can't control the PCs the way you would usually control your PC. It's basically a front-end software launcher kind of thing. Yeah. Makes it kind of easy to just start regular games like Valorant, Counter-Strike, Every other game.
Not even that, but yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Pretty convenient, because you log in with your profile. You can, of course, play your games with your accounts, your settings, etc. You can order drinks from the bar with that ggLeap account, and they will bring it to you, etc. But Warcraft 3 has a couple of quirks that made it absolutely impossible to run Warcraft 3 with War 3 champions with this ggLeap software.
Yeah, exactly. So this was the situation. You already mentioned it. I'm just stepping in because there was a lot on my part with all the PCs and the tech stuff.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So as you said before, the PCs weren't ready on Tuesday, so we started building them all up. And then we encountered the ggLeap problem, and we were working on it over and over and over again. And it did not work. It simply did not work. We didn't get it to work. And so what we did, and I'm also sharing this now, I would not have shared it before. What we did is we simply put all of them in admin mode. So every user, there was a huge risk. Every user that wanted to do anything with it, you could have downloaded viruses, you could have taken down the whole venue because you had admin access on every single PC. What you never ever do on an offline event if you have PCs there that are not the PCs of the people themselves. So we put them all into administration mode, and this is also the reason why when a PC rebooted, for the players there, they know it reboots in ggLeap, and we had to unlock it for you again, which simply meant we went into the system and gave you full access over and full control over the PC. So we just took a risk there and hope that nobody will try out to do weird stuff with the PCs. And thankfully, this community, or at least the people who are players there, are so amazing that they didn't even try.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop there. So somebody else want to comment on that before I go forward?
I just think that this is the perfect situation to give a first, and this is probably not going to be the last one. The first very big, heartfelt shout out to the Warcraft community, because given that we had a wardrobe that was fully accessible for everyone who attended the event, there were like 100 security cameras, so I guess there was a bit of security layer there, though. But I don't think that there are many other gaming communities where you could do something like that without anyone doing any harm. Not even any harm that they really wanted to inflict, but just by mere stupidity. But the Warcraft community is so mature and feels so friendly and respectful in that regard that I had no issues with doing that, to be honest. I kind of knew that nobody would do anything.
It was just like tickling in the back of my head every second, and every time somebody. I also know the look on the face of my team members, and I know the look of the face when they have like something very bad happened, and I have to tell him now. And every time I had this look, and I got this look multiple times over the weekend, I had the fear that okay, now it happened. Now somebody did it. Now we are done. Now we are roast. But actually, it never happened. But so I wasn't afraid. I just had like this constant level of stress and fear put upon me all the time.
Yeah. So to just for the people some information, why couldn't you do this with War 3 Champions? The thing with ggLeap is that you can't see the tray, I think it's called, the bottom right hand side next to the clock. And if you close War 3 Champions, then it goes to the tray and you can't find it anymore. So if your launcher gets stuck, which it kind of sometimes does, there's no chance with ggLeap to restart it. So that was a problem.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. I wanted to send a second massive shout out to the War 3 Champions guys, right? Which you were in a meeting for like 6.5 hours for on Tuesday evening.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. They helped us out, or tried to help us out a ton. And the other thing is, why don't you just play LAN? People who are listening to us might know this, but Warcraft 3 has a built-in 80 millisecond delay on LAN mode, which is absolutely insane, and there's no reason to do this, but they did it for some weird reason. So we can't use LAN for anything proper. So we couldn't use LAN because of the built-in thingy. We couldn't use the ggLeap thing because if you click the X button, it War 3 Champions closes to tray, and then we weren't able to restart it anymore. That's the thing, or that are things that you don't plan for. Like,
not at all.
Not at all. Who would have thought that this is going to be a problem? Not us. And then, we put them all in admin mode.
We just had them to admin mode and went with it. Yeah.
That was really fun, actually, because the Tuesday was such a horrible day for the two of you, being more on the tech side, or like the software tech production side of the whole thing. I think the Wednesday was much worse for me than the Tuesday, because then on Wednesday, more of the team people came, and also our first guests arrived, right? We had a bootcamp book by Phantom Aces, and they arrived with the first 7 players on Wednesday, and one of them was Lawliot, and we gave them a little corner. It was perfect for us because we had a little bit of testing that they would do for us to see if it would all work out. They started playing some games, and like 2 hours later, 1.5 hours later, Lawliot raised his arm and was like, my keyboard stopped working, and now my mouse stopped working, and now they don't really start working again. And then we thought, all right, that might be an issue because he has like a Korean keyboard and a Korean mouse, and all of that might be like a weird coincidence with an old German computer. So we actually put it straight into the computer, and then it worked. And I thought the problem was resolved. And then half an hour later, Qbert went like, my keyboard's not working, and my mouse is also not working. And when it happened to a third person, we found out.
Cut you off real quick. There was a little hub for USB.
Yeah, exactly.
And the headset that was not directly. So if you want to set up, you plug it into the hub and not directly into the PC. And you couldn't originally access the PC because there was what's the English word? An iron.
Yeah.
Thingy in front of the PC. So that was the hub thing was the only way you could plug in your mouse and keyboard. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then after the third person having the issue, and after us trying to put the USB hub into a different USB outlet with more power on the mainboards of the computers, we then noticed that the issue was within these USB hubs, and that they were probably not efficient enough to take in the signals of multiple USB devices for a long time, or some other reason. But as Yannis mentioned, all of the computers were in an iron cage. Some of them above the seats and some of them below the desks. And so what we had to do to ensure that all 125 players would be able to play on the next day, given that we wanted to open on Thursday evening for the first people who wanted to arrive early, we had to take cordless screwdrivers and screw open all of these iron cages, who were closed with 6 individual screws. So in the end, we had 125 cage walls and like 800 screws in a huge jar, and 2 team members who were worked to the bone because these things are heavy. They are freaking heavy. So that was fun as well. Torald, the guy in the koala bear costume, he basically almost did all of this by himself. So he went screwing for 5 hours, and not in a good way.
we got screwed. That's for sure.
He
got screwed.
Yeah.
He's screwed big time.
Yeah. So first, I got fucked because my phone got stolen. Then we got fucked with the War 3 Champions launcher and Warcraft in general. Then other people got fucked because we had to rip up these cages and set up everything else again. And then we also all got fucked because the German transportation system announced that they would be.
Yes, that was also.
They went on strike on Thursday, and we were saying, wait, our staff is arriving on Thursday, our players are arriving on Thursday, our viewers are arriving on Thursday. What the hell is happening now when public transportation in all of Germany is on strike?
Yeah. Remote came late, and only by the grace of somebody picking him up by car, right? Same holds for our event photographer, and then Marvin, one of the team members, also couldn't come on Thursday. Oh, that sucked so hard. That was really annoying.
And more. One of the tech guys that took care of the cameras and the microphones, he wasn't there because he couldn't arrive. And many others arrived late because we had to redesign the arrival process so people could share cars and whatnot. And then we, of course, also feared that many people couldn't arrive from the guests, as on Thursday the first people should arrive, and on Friday, of course, the strike go on. And this was another major blow where we thought, okay, we might have an empty venue, and we are already understaffed, and now we are abysmally understaffed. And I totally forgot about the strike.
Yeah.
True, that was also there.
Happy was
Jesus
also
Christ.
affected. Happy,
Happy.
The happy story is pretty sick.
Happy was stuck in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah, having
He
a bit
arrived
of
like
fondue.
1.5 days later than intended, I think.
Yeah. He arrived exactly 1.5 days later, and he basically arrived. I think this story already made it straight through the entire community, but he arrived 1.5 days later. We brought him into the pro room, which was pretty great, I think. We set him up, which took some time. Everybody who knows Happy knows that he's very specific about the way that he sets up his entire setup, and he has these where the keyboard has to be, where the mouse has to be, the distance between the two, the distance to the screen. He's very professional with all of this. And once he was set up, he basically put his noise cancelling headphones on, and he went through letter game after letter game. I think he went 10 hours straight until we closed the venue down. That was crazy, really.
Yeah, he must have had withdrawal after not lettering for 1.5 days, dude. Some catching up to do.
Yeah, that's probably it. That was probably it.
Yeah,
he was so in the zone.
That's cool to mention though, because I mean only the VIPs could see Happy, but Happy is really professional. And by the way, this time around, Happy was really cool. So last time it was a bit harder to work with him. This time he was really he appreciated everything, and he really cooperated amazingly. So no hate against Happy at all this time. But what's really cool is
what do you mean this time? What happened last time? Want to elaborate?
No. It's forgotten. It's all good. But so Happy is a great guy. He really is. And what's cool, the original story I wanted to tell is that Happy actually brings his own in-ears and his own noise canceling. It is not even headphones, and the phones are these yellow ones. So he's looking like a construction worker when he's back there in the pro room, because he wants to be as close as the experience on stage as he can get. So he's really really amazing. And and he had Oreos with him again. I just read it in the chat.
I will keep those forever. I still have Happy's Oreos from Raraland 2022.
Yeah,
and I will keep them. They are hidden so that nobody accidentally eats them. And those will stay until they Oreos are good forever, right? They will never run bad.
You should put them in front of a webcam, like this one hamburger.
Yeah,
maybe one Happy story from last year, so people are not that disappointed. When Happy played on stage last year, we had to shut down half of the lights in the venue, so our entire camera work and everything was screwed because the lighting didn't work anymore because it was too bright for him sitting on a stage, which is not bad, and it is totally understandable, because he just all Happy wants to do, in my opinion, is to compete and compete on the best level, on the fairest level. And in his opinion, it was too different to anything else. But this was one just a little bit why I was saying that. And this time he was just I love him after this event. Really, I love the dude.
Yeah, you probably saw that things didn't go as planned when it comes to players and the stage. We'll definitely go into this. Before we do that, little bit from chat, coming back to the public transportation strike, because we told everyone the event is in Dortmund, but there's a big international airport at Düsseldorf. It's not that far. It's like 50 minutes by train. And we told literally everyone, just go to Düsseldorf, take the train to Dortmund. It's super easy. It's super convenient. Boom. Strike. Not easy anymore. Not convenient at all. But as chat says, a lot of people stepped up and offered their own cars in the Discord, which was super dope. So another shout out to the Warcraft community, who really stepped up big time.
Yeah. Truly amazing. So many people from our team also profited from that. So also internally, we had this little car group in our, for the team. As I said, the photographer then drove with somebody who lived close to him. So yeah, that was really great. Also, after the strike ended, though, a couple of people managed to not arrive on time. Talking about Hitman here, who had his phone die on him during the arrival in Frankfurt, and then while buying a new phone charger, he missed his train to Dortmund. That was so horrible, because I thought finally we have everything. He even messaged me and was like, "All right, I'm gonna land now." And then he called me and was like, "Well, I just missed my train."
This is so funny, though. Oh, sorry.
No.
It's so funny, though, because of course he was in contact with you. He was also in touch with his team manager, Bidu, and he sent him a message saying, "Oh shit, I'm stranded at the airport. My phone is about to die," and then nothing anymore. And Bidu was worried, like, "Oh my god, dude, that kid is all alone and has no power on his phone anymore. He doesn't write back. I'm so worried. I'm this close to renting a car, drive to the airport and look for him." And then I went to you like, "Hey, Yannick, have you heard anything of Hitman?" Yeah, he texted me 20 minutes ago. It's all good. So he texted you and updated you, but he didn't update his team manager, who he knows for like 8 years or so. He just left him hanging.
I had the funniest phone call with him, honestly. Like, number one, it really sucked because, as we already mentioned, that I don't want to write this for too long, but budget-wise, the event was very short on budget, and buying a short notice train ticket, a second one, because we had already bought him one from Frankfurt to Dortmund, is surprisingly expensive. It was like 150 euros or something. And but the hardest point was because there are not that many direct train connections from Frankfurt Airport, which has its own little train station, to Dortmund. I had to get him onto a short distance train to Frankfurt Central Station. And I had been with him on the phone for the entire time. And for those people who know that Dortmund is a little bit dangerous, and I don't want to talk too bad about Germany, but Dortmund and Frankfurt are two of the less secure stations. I would call it, phrase it that way. And this guy, he was like, let me just give this cell phone to a random stranger so you can talk to him and he can guide me to the close distance train. We got it done, but it was really weird for a couple of moments because he somehow managed to find the only people in the entire Frankfurt Airport Central Station thing that were not able to speak German and English. So that was so weird because I couldn't see him, but I knew and I heard that the person that he was talking to was trying to like sign language him to the right direction. We got it all done. He got into the S9 close distance train, went to Frankfurt, caught his train there, and then we picked him up at the Dortmund main station. Then
he was super chill though. Shout out to Hitman. Oh boy. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was crazy. He also what a guy, dude. He was awake for 20 hours at that point, or 25 hours. He went to the hotel for 10 minutes and then went straight into the media day. Got a couple of really great videos and pictures. Good dude, man. He was a great sport to have.
All right. Do we want to talk a bit about production? Oh no, we can. I think we can finish.
I think we can. I mean, we are not even finished with a preliminary thing because then Thursday arrived, and Thursday was a strike, of course, and nevertheless in the evening, people came into the venue already because we had this community evening, and we said, well, everybody who has a player ticket, you can come on Thursday and can already go to your PC, set up everything, and so forth and so on, and. This is where shit went down, excuse the language, but where shit went down the first time really bad. Because
this is when it went down really bad. Yeah. Everything up to now.
Well, that was fine. But now we go into really shit down territory because it was around 50 people who were walking into the venue and everything went smooth. They got their badges. They were happy. We guided them to their PCs. We explained them the thing with the USB that they have to go directly into the PC and whatnot. And it took around 20 minutes. And then the first people came up and said, hey, well, I cannot log into Warcraft 3 anymore. And I said, what do you mean by anymore? Yeah, well, I was in there, but I then got kicked, and now I can't re-log into it. Okay, and it was one guy in the beginning, then there were 2, then there were 5, then there were 20, and then it was half of the venue, and only the people who were there the evening before were still in. But it was an absolute disaster and chaos because what we thought in the first place was, of course, as we had the IP addresses so shortly before, and it was the weekend after BlizzCon, so we thought maybe Blizzard missed out on whitelisting it, and now 50 people tried to log in, and now we are blacklisted. And getting you off of the blacklist, you first of all need a Blizzard employee for that, and secondly, it takes more than a day or more than an evening. You have, I guess it is around a week or 3. I never had the situation, but this would be what I guess it should be. So. What I did was I was sprinting to Yannis, and it was, Yannis, we have an issue here. Can you please contact Blizzard? And Yannick looked at me in a rather, resting bitch face kind of style, and he said to me, is there a joke? And I said, no, why? Can't you just... I lost my phone, dude. I do not have access to my Discord. And I was like, no! So we can't even talk to Blizzard about it. And then Yannis created a, how's it called? Like a Discord smurf. Yeah. And he joined every server. And we even got notified by people that saying, hey, watch out, there's somebody who's playing as Yannis. Be careful, he's trying to scam you. And it was actually the real Yannis who got his phone stolen or lost it or whatever. So we had the situation where nobody could log into Warcraft, and we tried everything out. And I was on our streaming PC. I stopped all the preparations. I started downloading Hearthstone, and I started downloading different other Blizzard games just to see if I could log into Battle.net and if I could log into other Blizzard games, because in my understanding, I mean, we never got blacklisted by Blizzard, but in my understanding, it would be if you got blacklisted by Blizzard, they would block you off from all the Battle.net services, not only from Warcraft 3. And I then could log into Hearthstone. And it was at the same time, because Giannis also did some investigation. It was at the same time that Giannis came to me and he said to me, hey, I have somebody here on my Discord who said that he cannot log on to Warcraft 3 right now. He can go into Battle.net, but not Warcraft 3.
Somebody who was not at base tech.
Yeah, who was not a space, exactly, who was not a base tech. And then we started reaching out on every Discord in the world who might have a Warcraft 3 player on it, asking for them to try out if they can log into Warcraft 3, right? Not only Battle.net, but if they could go into Warcraft and play a game. And then we found out that this exact moment when 50 people walk into our venue, Blizzard shuts down or gets a crash on only the Warcraft 3 login servers. Not even the Battle.net servers, not the Hearthstone servers, not the Warcraft server, nothing. Only the Warcraft 3 login servers. And there was this weird mistake where it was saying you are now at number 1 in the queue, and then it just shuts down. And the problem with that is, I mean, there was some sort of relief in the first place, but because of that, people try to enter captchas. As you know, you have this captcha thing. If the system thinks you are a bot or not a human or whatnot, you have this captcha thing. So people try to log in over and over and over again, and this captcha thing only works over IP and is not listed by Blizzard. This is a service that is not connected to our whitelisting with Blizzard. So what happened is, of course, that from the 50 or 60 or whatnot people that are there, some put in the captcha wrong here and there by logging in over and over and over again. So we had reached a captcha limit. Nobody could log in anyway, even though the Warcraft servers were working again. Nobody could log in because of the captcha block. And then we didn't know is how long would this block take, because there were so many failed attempts on our IP, of course, because it was 60 people trying it. Is it now blocked for 24 hours? Is it blocked for a week? Or is it blocked for 2 hours? We simply do not know. So we kicked everybody out of the playing zone and tried to shut it down. And after 2 hours, we sent one chosen guy back to try it out, and it worked for him. The problem was the community was so eager in playing that people realized what we were doing. They saw through our scheme, and they like it was like really the horde rushing coming onto us because they saw they found out it's possible again. So they came all in there, and the capture block was again there. Yep. Because too many people tried again. But by then, we knew that at least the capture block takes around 2 hours or whatnot. And it was a big relief to have it there. On our side, and this was absolutely crazy. This Thursday evening was the first heart attack I had, because it looked like for about, I would say, 45 minutes to 1 hour, it looked like, okay, we did not even start the event, and we already know we will not be able to host it at all because we are blacklisted by Blizzard.
And I can't reach out to my community manager because I don't have a phone. So I eventually fixed that by going into World of Warcraft female servers, and I found her there. So that was at some point fixed. But yeah, that was, I thought, having this Experion PTSD, I thought we can just close it down, these 20, 30 minutes. And because you're in such a stress situation, right? We thought, okay, maybe Blizzard effed it up and didn't whitelist us. Maybe it's something at the venue that got effed up because we got the IPs so late, and maybe something in that regard was messed up. For like half an hour or an hour, we didn't even think about asking someone who is not at the venue. So it was 30, 40 minutes of panic. And then I thought, okay, maybe I just ask my Discord if other people have the problem as well, because you're so in the zone. We could have had this relief after like 3 minutes and everything would have been fine. But because of panic, because of stress, because we're not used to that setup, that was one of the most stressful moments the entire weekend for us.
Let's talk about some positive things, though, right? So,
the pizza was good.
The pizza was damn
The
good.
pizza
That was
was
actually
really
really
good.
good. Really good. I kept that one in mind for the next time. But in general, I don't want this to become this huge list of all of the things that went wrong. So Thursday was also pretty amazing. Seeing the people coming in, huge smiles on their faces, helping us in testing out, which was a test that we would have liked to avoid, but still, I mean, we were smarter the next day, and starting from the next day, everyone who had to enter a capture, we were like hawks behind them. We're like,
Yeah.
you do that wrong, I do you wrong. So that was the one thing that was a bit stressful over the next couple of hours, but still, so many amazing people. And even if they had issues, I remember this guy named Medic. He was the friendliest issue haver in the world. He came to me 3 times on Thursday evening and was like, I'm so sorry to bother you again. And that was basically the experience for almost the entire weekend. Everyone was so friendly. Everyone seemed to be so eager and happy to play. Everyone was jumping into the games. The sound, that gets me every time. Every single offline event that we do. The sound when the first time there's like a silence coming because so many players are actually playing and all you hear is like keyboards and mice like click, 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 click. That's always a really good moment, I think.
Yeah.
Because that means, all right, we're getting into the right direction now.
I have a final to close this out with a funny note. I have a final capture story because this reoccurred a few times over the weekend, and that one time Happy had to play on stage, and he had to log on everything there, and I ran through the process with him, and he also had the capture problem, and so I tried to enter the capture for him, and it was like the weirdest question ever. I was looking at Happy, I was looking at my admin because we should find the biggest tortoise, like the biggest turtle on the pictures, which one is the biggest. And the problem was there were 9 pictures with a huge freaking tortoise on it. And they were just going with their shoulders like, I don't know, just try it. And I was clicking on the one I considered the biggest, and I hit it, and of course it was wrong. And Happy just looked at me and was like, yeah, you're not human.
Well, he isn't. We all know he is superhuman.
Yeah, but he told me. He said to me. He looked at me and he said to me, "You are not human." And
he noticed one of his kind.
Yeah, exactly. That was just amazing. That was crazy. Yeah, so this was the Thursday. I think we can close down the Thursday and move on because we are already talking almost 1.5 hours. Not quite. We started 8:15, right? But just to not talk too much.
Dude, we didn't even start production yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit, dude.
I have so much still in mind. So let's move on. I just wanted to bring the story with Happy and the capture.
Dude, where the hell do we even start with production?
Yeah. I had the same
God.
question on Thursday.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
First of all, we had no internet, right? So that's where it kind of starts. Because can you briefly explain how the stream setup is done? Because people are probably used to my OBS setup, which is very good, of course, and very flexible. But an offline stream event setup is a little bit different.
Yeah, so we are not using OBS for those events. I mean, for example, for other stuff we do, like Dota or anything, we do. But for these bigger events, we use another broadcasting software, which is that is called vMix. That is not for free, of course. And what we normally do is we set up vMix beforehand, so we do not have to do too much setting up there. So this is, for example, one of the tasks that Paul, It's Your Games, did. He set up the vMix before, but it is way more complicated. So right now, let's just take this setup we are talking in now. We are together in a Discord call. Neo has his camera, and he has 2 browser sources or like 2 video sources putting into it and have an overlay. So this is fine. But on an offline event, you have multiple cameras. We this time even had cameras that we could control via a joystick. You have these cameras with cables going into a huge how's it called, box. to mix them together and decide which camera you have. You have multiple microphones. You have one for the audience, you have the ones for the casters, you have one for the free cams, you have those with the interviews, and all of this stuff goes together in a soundboard, where you know those soundboards from movies or anything, with all these little things on it that you can turn up and down. And then you have to take all of this and get it into a format that you can put it into a PC. Then you have 2 observer PCs going into there as well. Then we have our free cam, our flying cam, which is a camera that can walk around, that has to go over Wi-Fi. All of this, of course, needs internet to work. And as soon as you have figured out everything, you then can start setting it up properly. So this is basically the setup. So we had 3 people only for tech back there, me as the more or less head of it, and 2 observers, only for the stream and only for the production, not counting in the casters and people who are helping, like admins or anything.
So
And yeah, go ahead.
You're saying it goes over Wi-Fi and internet, right? So for sure we had the necessary capabilities to run all that.
Yeah.
Right.
We finally had.
Okay. All right. So that sounds like a lot of equipment, Benny. Is Being Esports owning all of that and brought it from Hamburg to Dortmund?
No. We own a little bit of equipment. We have our studio in Bavaria, where we have some equipment. But for an event like Raraland, we are working together with a production company. They normally do TV productions and whatnot. And so they had to set up everything there as well. And what you normally have is you have multiple networks. So, of course, there's this network where everybody is in, like also the players and so forth and so on. And then you have another network only for the cameras. Then you have another network only for the communication between the casters and everybody. And you have another network for intercom with other people. So you normally have 2, 3, 4 networks, and we had none of those, actually.
But usually, if you have an event, right, that like the venue surely has some of that production stuff.
Normally, it is, for example, with the Arcadia, or also if we go to Experience anything, they have all this equipment, and it should have been there. So we have been promised. We gave them a list what we need, because even though we do not own it ourselves, we of course know what we need. So we gave them a list, and they said, that sounds all right. We will need that anyway. It will be there. And 1 week prior to the event, jumping back a bit in time now again, 1 week prior to the event, we got the message from the venue. Yeah, well, all this production stuff, we won't have it. Do you happen to know anybody? And funny enough is that I know people, and I asked them beforehand because I thought that might occur. And not 7 days before, but 9 days before, the venue told me to put down the offer of them and tell them, no, we don't need you. So I put down the offer, and 2 days later, I went back to them and said, hey, regarding that offer, I just did neglect. What do you think about putting it up again? I know it's just a week before and you have to be there all week, but how do you think of that idea? And they are very, very cool. Simon is the name of the guy who owns the company, and I know him well. So he said, okay, we will get that done, and we will make this. And Baystack took all the they said, well, we didn't put up we couldn't manage to put up the whole equipment, so we will take care of all the production company and what they need and so forth and so on. So this was very, very kind of Baystack again. And so we did it with them, and they arrived, and they were in shock because it was their first esports event they did. As I said before, they are doing concerts, and they were on Wacken, and they do stuff like that. So entirely different. And now they come into this venue and they ask us for the 4 different networks that they need. And I was simply telling them, well, regarding the networks, how does it sound for you? Like, we have one network and we get a router that is limited to 100 MBS. how does that sound like to you? They thought I was joking. They were laughing. Yeah, funny enough. Now tell us. The problem is I wasn't joking, and they were absolutely amazing because they then set up at least the most necessary networks on their own. They had their own routers with them, and they just set them up, and it was like cables going everywhere. It looked like a scene out of the Matrix or anything, because they had these huge stuff there, and they're pulling it through the wall and across the ceiling and everywhere. It was a monstrosity, but they did a absolutely great job and managed to cover us up there, so that we at least had the stream, or in general the stream that we wanted to have. The only thing that we did not get to work was this flying cam. Who watched the stream saw it on the first day we did this segment, and it was very, very blurry. And we tried to fix it, and we didn't manage to. At least we found a way on the last day to at least have the winning shot and everything with this camera.
Yeah.
But this was the start of all. So we came there. There was no equipment. We had to move the production room also a week prior because there was a fire security thing. So we planned it to have it in another room before, and we couldn't go there. And so we went to this. It was not even a room. There was only a niche or something in the wall where 3 tables or 4 tables had space. Normally we need double the space, and it was directly at the playing area, and there was just a curtain covering it, so it was very noisy, and it was if you went in there, it was like really like these isolation cells in prison.
Yeah.
This is how it felt like.
I feel like
when we put up.
Put this in perspective, like if I go to Freaks for You for like a Meisterschaftsfinal, I think there's like 5 people on 25 square meters round. Not 20. Is it? Oh no, 5 square meters, 5 by 5. I guess. So here we had half of that, a third of that. It was 6 square meters and 5 people.
Yeah, it was 8 square meters, something like this. Maybe around that. So it was very, very cozy.
Yeah.
Let's put it like this. And the problem was we arrived there, and we didn't have tables there. We didn't have chairs there. None of the cables were set up. We did not have internet there in the beginning because the router wasn't set up and wasn't there and had to be installed first. So we started from scratch again. Then one of our partners sadly jumped off very close to the event as well, who wanted to supply us with the computers and everything. So in the end, I hope I'm allowed to tell this, in the end, we had to use Yannick's brand new personal computer that he just bought because it was the best computer we had in reach. So he just threw it into the car as well, and we took it with us because we were already there then, and we couldn't take our stuff from Bavaria with us anymore. So we took Yannick's computer and drove it all across Germany, and I was very uncomfortable with that because if you drive a computer 6 hours one way, 6 hours another way, and you have it run an entire event weekend, this is not what you want to do to your brand new PC. I
had to fight. Like it was a little. I thought about buying a new computer for years because my old one is doing. It has done a good job, but it broke down a couple of times, and in the end, it was so bad that I couldn't stream anymore. So I got a new one. My partner did assemble most of it and helped me with choosing the right parts because she's quite efficient, quite proficient in these things. And when I told her that I would take it with me, she was mad because we waited so long to spend this money. So and then we got to a point where I was allowed to bring it with me under the condition that we really take care so we wouldn't destroy it. And the first thing I hear after we build it up in Dortmund was like, oh, well, we just had 2 blue screens. Don't really know where that came from, but yeah, let's see if it's still running.
The tone was a little bit different.
It was really rough because of course we had to plug in our capture card in there and do some stuff in the heart of the computer to make it ready for such a production as it is. It has to be done, and so this is how we set up the production, and then finally Paul. He had the responsibility of most of it because I was busy with all these other stuff like the Warcraft server going down and whatnot, so I couldn't even be as much of a help as I should be there. So Paul had to sort most of those things out. Shout out to him, and finally he could go to work and set everything up. And then the next problem occurred because we couldn't get the overlay to run as intended. So poor Yannis was there racking his brain and nothing.
My overlay, ladies and gentlemen, is a fine overlay because Warcraft 3 doesn't provide the greatest of overlays, as you all know, even though it's called Advanced Observer thingy. It's not advanced to what we build. But our overlay is also very, very, very fragile. Just because it works at home doesn't mean it works anywhere else. I spent hours in Berlin setting it up for the ESL guys. Sometimes I spend 5 minutes and it just works. Of course, since we had this coin flip event where everything that could be a 50-50 thing goes wrong, it obviously didn't work.
Yep.
And obviously, usually, I'd just contact my coder and tell him to fix it.
He was on a mountain somewhere, right?
No, wait. First of all, I don't have access to my Discord, so I used my fake Discord account, and I texted him with my B2W Neo 2 thing, and he's like, can you somehow prove that it's you? Can you ask Remo or something? Yeah. So I had to record a video for him, like, yo, Chris, event, stressed as fuck, phone robbed, need your help.
Look at me, 5 fingers, no AI.
Yeah, exactly, no AI. We did this as if you checked your passport for an online bank account or something. So he believed me. And then he said, yo, you sent me the error code and stuff. I think I have an idea what causes this. There's a little problem. Right now, I am hitchhiking on Mount Fuji in Japan. Can you give me an hour? I need to find a place to sit down. So this guy had his laptop with him, thankfully, stopped his hike, sat down on a bench, spent an hour, fixed the code, and it finally worked again. Big shout out to Chris.
That was pretty neat. Maybe to give some more fun things before we go back to production. I also hope that this will not get me into Hell's Kitchen. To give you a perspective of the things that we think about while doing these events. When we sell tickets, we obviously ask you guys, those who have player or VIP or supporter tickets, where you want to sit and with what people you want to sit. And this is a very boring job because it's just basically like a big puzzle that luckily in the end worked quite well. There was this place where there was this big what is the name for Säule in English? This big pillar that we didn't really account for, and then we went to base deck. We thought like, oh, this is gonna work really well, and then there was this huge pillar, and no computer obviously in that place, so that kind of sucked. But the thing that I want to get to is 2 days before the event started, so we were already there for like 48 hours. We looked at the seating plan again, and without stating specific names, there are a couple of people in the community that we didn't feel too comfortable with putting them straight to the production site, like directly close to that. So we changed the seating again shortly before opening the first time. I'm not gonna say who, but it's basically me standing beside Benni, and we were like, yeah, this guy's sitting there, this guy's sitting there, this guy's sitting there. I'm looking over to Benni, and he's like, that's not going to happen. we took these 2 or 3 people, we put them to the other side of the venue, and we placed a couple of really, really, really reliable people very close to the production, which worked really great. Nobody interfered, actually, I think.
Yeah, shout out to Link and Flutschi for not breaking everything.
Exactly.
God damn, dude.
Yeah, that was really crazy. Yeah, so this is how production tech kicked off, and I'm not going to bore you with some in-depth tech stuff because there was a lot of, as you can imagine, you have multiple networks, you have multiple cameras and microphones. Then we had this huge problem with the sound check where we figured out, the area where people are will be sitting and watching the game, like the viewing area, it has glass windows, it has a concrete ceiling, and it has a floor that is not a carpet or anything. It is completely flat as well. So we already knew sound will be a problem, because as you can imagine, sound is when the sound waves go out, they go onto the glass windows, and it comes back. It goes to the ceiling, it comes back. It goes into the ground, it comes back, and then you have this huge problem that you cannot understand a thing anymore, and there's not much you can do. So we did what we can do. So we covered the windows with molten. I'm not sure if this is also the English expression. It's this fabric, black fabric that you know from concerts and everything as well, or festivals. So we covered it up, and we tried to put the chairs in a way that the people are very stacked on the floor. So most of the sound will get absorbed by the people themselves to make it happen there. And we had the same problem, of course, in the outer room in front of the analyst desk. And so stuff like this, just an example. We had multiple of these occasions, but I don't think we have to go into detail with every little bit, because there are way more funny stories that happened and that are more interesting than me talking about tech stuff and sound and videos and cameras. But we had to fix a lot. Yeah,
I guess we have to talk about tech stuff a little bit, because the biggest complaint online and also offline, obviously, was the big delays that we had between the games. So, ladies and gentlemen, please believe me when I said we did not plan for a 1 hour break in between games. We didn't even plan for 30 minutes or even 10 minutes between games. We were on a tight schedule with a little buffer in between. How we did it last year, which worked kind of well, was we had an admin who carried the PC from the Pro from the main gaming area to the stage.
Shout out to Kevin. The stage was in the first floor and the main area was in the ground floor.
Exactly. Yeah. That was a little bare bones setup and required an entire person to do that in time. So we thought it would be very nice if we don't have to carry around desktops the entire event, because we planned for a lot of stage matches, of course. So
it also wasn't possible with ggLeap.
That's what I'm getting into. In more or less June, we said, all right, we have this obstacle with profiles for players because they need the software for their mouse, they need their specific Warcraft settings, etc., etc. Is there a way to save it all on a profile that you can log into your profile on PC, let's say 5, and it works there, and then you log in at PC 25, and it just downloads the settings, and you can play as planned? No problem, guys. That will work. Of course. Easy. Don't worry. Best setup you've ever seen. Okay, they didn't say that, but that was our intention. And basically every single month we're asking, yo, is the thing with the profiles, is that working? Yeah, for sure. No worries, dude. And then we arrive on Tuesday and I try it. And of course it's not working. On top of the War 3 Champions problems, this wasn't working at all. And then someone hooked me up with a call to the tech people somewhere in Scandinavia. It's still unsure if it's Denmark or Norway, but somewhere over there.
It's Norway.
All right. And I tell them what we need for this event, and they laugh in my face and say, yo, that doesn't work with this kind of setup. Like, the fuck, dude? I was so angry at that moment, because the entire plan, the entire schedule that we worked out for like half a year was doable. So we needed a plan B, which was, as we had everything in admin mode, correct me if I'm wrong, but we couldn't carry the PCs anymore, because if you shut them down, the settings get wiped.
Yeah, no, that's the second security setup. If you carry them, it does actually. If you carry them, they reconnect to the server in the basement, and it wipes everything that is not meant to be on it.
The problem is they won't even. We tried to work around that, and it was not possible, because all the switches or routers or whatever that are in the different rooms are routed exactly with the IP of the computer. So if you take one computer from one room and place into another room, it won't connect anymore to the network and to the internet. So what would have been done there, the people from Norway or whatever, they would have to route it completely entirely new, and then it would reset anyway. So transporting PCs was like behind double doors.
Yeah. So we had to go with the one thing we really didn't want to do and have players set up on stage. We knew that it's not a good idea and it will take some time, but that was the last resort we were able to do.
Yeah, we really tried a lot and tried to figure out, and we then bought little sticks like flash drives, the USB sticks. I think that is not an English word, so flash drive is, I think, the correct English word, where they save all their stuff on, and we just plug it in, and they can set up quicker. The problem was that there were many issues that we had to face during production, and we even had plan Bs for in case there will be a delay here and there, but we did not plan for having a delay basically every single series. So we ran out of first of all, we ran out of backup plans, and secondly, as I said before, the flying cam where we would have done stuff with the community and other things, not showing the couch or the casters all the time, didn't work I explained it before. And there were different problems that occurred. For example, I'm just naming a few examples. One example would be when Moon tried to set up his PC, he encountered a problem that with his keyboard setting, I totally forgot about the keyboard language. Another great story. But that his keyboard setting did not work with the W3 Champions client. There was a problem. And a huge shout out to Kovacs and his colleague. I forgot the name right now. I'm very sorry.
Sefid and Toxi.
From W3 Champions, because they were the greatest guys. I always contact them via Discord when we had a W3 Champions problem. I was like, hey, we're having a problem here. Could you drop by? And he just showed up with a beer in hand and, and we went straight to work and tried to fix it. And this one problem with the key binding was not solvable anyhow, and so we had to play one match where we had to move Moon back from the stage because we said it's not possible. And side story, they sat down overnight and programmed a new W3 Champions client just for us to make it work the next day. We have found another solution that was, I think, suggested by Kevin or Leon. I think it was
Kevin.
Kevin, it was Kevin, okay, who had a similar problem, so we already solved it, but they went in there at night and programmed the client new, and I think in the newest client there is now also this hotkey fix in there, so
guys,
I think they kept it.
You can't believe it, guys. The solution to the problem was that the players had to use Lesko's Warcraft 3 toolkit, which Kevin still uses to this day. That's a program that was coded for Dota 1 in 2009.
Awesome game, dude. Awesome game.
That's absolutely crazy. I used to use that back in the day when I was playing Dota 1.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely insane. But it worked in the end. Then one time we had Happy crashing the entire PC while he was setting it up. True. I don't even know what he did there. And I was not looking, and he just came to me and said, well, it died. and it was simply done. It was done. So we had this. Then we had issues with the internet because we had ping issues that we couldn't quite solve. So the ping was every half a second, the ping was jumping from 15 to 30, from 15 to 80, from 15 to whatever, and it was constantly jumping up and down. So we tried to fix that. We turned off the Wi-Fi and everything. We tried to find out what it is. And in the end, we found out that we couldn't fix it because it is probably something from the Deutsche Telekom, that the wire is faulty or anything. But at least when we went on EU Central 4, I even remember the server. When we went there, it was at least not as bad, so the players could play. This was another issue we had. Then we had one issue with the PC setup that they did sometimes for real reset, and sometimes they did not. And if a player, for example, tried to set everything up, they still had all the settings from the player before, and some players, they are using the W3 Champions client to not, so they do not use the custom keys file. They are clicking all of them, and there was a bug that if you use the custom key file, but they changed some of the standard things, they are obviously not in the custom keys file then, or something like that, it wouldn't update. So one player came to me, or he raised his hand and said, well, I'm trying to hit the move button, or it was like some standard button, and it doesn't work. And I asked him, did you insert a custom keys? And he said, yes. And it took some time until we finally figured out that the player that was playing there before changed it in W3 Champions. And then, funny enough, there was another Kovacs moment. We tried to change it back in W3 Champions. That simply didn't work. It simply didn't work. It refused to do anything. So Kovacs was on it again. Then we had some issues with the IP addresses, as I said before, and with the intra network. So there were that we had to sort out, and there was Blaze. He was from the venue. He was doing a lot of work. The people who were there probably saw him. He had like long blonde hair.
Polish Legolas.
Yeah, Polish Legolas, exactly. And he was just a player like Legolas is. So he did so much work. He salvaged me that weekend. So huge shout out at this point to W3 Champions and to Blaze. He probably will not watch the stream, but still, those guys, they supplied me with all the information I, as a manager, needed to make the right decisions. And if it wasn't for them, we would have probably had double the delay and maybe not even stage matches. Then we had issues with the player cams. Then that's the reason why there were no player cams. Of course, we wanted to have player cams. We had them running by Saturday. Then we had Sunday issue with it, but other problems were more striking, so we had to just cut them and have other ones. So none of these big breaks. Paul also posted it in the chat here. In our run of show, there was a maximum break time of 10 minutes in between games. That was the plan. So there was never a plan to have long talking segments. I mean, we ourselves, we love esports as well, and we know if you watch an esports tournament or esports stream, you want to see matches. Of course, we have some segments planned, like talking to the guys of Kuchenmeister with the koalas, or talking to Alex, or our announcement of the Dach Inferno. Of course, we had those planned, but they were always in those 10-minute breaks, somewhere in there. And due to all these problems that occurred during the time that we were playing there already, we had these breaks of half an hour to up to 45 minutes or something like that. And many of the people might now say, yeah, well, why didn't you test it beforehand? Well, I would have loved to test that beforehand, and it should have been tested beforehand. But if you tune in late, you can go to the VOD and watch the first, half an hour, where we explain that the internet was there like 9 or 14 or whatever days before the event even started. The PCs weren't even set up 2 days before. The production wasn't even set up 1 day before, due to other issues we had in the planning and in the running up of this event. And this is how everything in the stream went down, and I'm very sorry for it. And I absolutely understand that there was some frustration, and also with the ads. Neo explained that as well. Of course, we are not trying to put ads in the middle of a game. We simply did not have the access to the creative dashboard and to the ad dashboard to change it due to the lost or stolen or whatever phone. So there was a lot of things going not as we have planned, and we had a lot of plan Bs. Half of the plan Bs did not work as well, so we had to go to plan Cs, and sometimes even those did not work, and this caused then the 30-minute breaks that we had here and there. And I'm very sorry for it, and we will do everything we can to avoid it next time. But sometimes, as a tournament organizer and as a producer, you have no other way than doing this. And the reason why we showed, for example, casters or couch for so long is that we at least thought it has more value to have people that are talking about things than having a break screen where it just gives you a 40-minute timer or a 30-minute timer. Oh, maybe to the timers as well. The thing is, we do not even know that it is a 30-minute break that is before us. Because let's take the thing with Happy breaks the PC, or Moon has issues with his hotkeys. I'm talking to the people who know more about the W3 champions or more about the system, and they tell me, yeah, I think we got this fixed in 5 to 8 minutes. So I'm telling Paul in the production, hey, I guess we have finished in 5 to 8 minutes. You can just fill a little bit and we go straight right into it. After 5 to 8 minutes, I'm asking, okay, are we good to go? And the information I get is, well, I guess we might need another 10 minutes. And so I'm going to Paul and say, well, you have to do something different now because we have another 10 minutes. Maybe you can get somebody on the couch or anything, and Paul does whatever he thinks is good or shows highlights or whatnot. And after 10 minutes, I'm being told, well, I don't think we managed to fix it. And so I have to decide, okay, then let's move back Moon into the pro room and he plays from there or whatever. And then it takes another 10 minutes until he's set up back there. And we want to keep competitive integrity, right? It is, of course, there's a lot about the stream, but you have to imagine these players. It is a World Series after all. They all want to compete on the highest level, and they want to be able to give their best. So you cannot just move them around like chess figures or just say, okay, now sit there and you have 3 minutes to set up. And I mean, they are still nervous. Even players like Moon, they are still nervous playing in front of a crowd. Not nervous in the sense of they are going down or come crushing down, but you still see that there's this slight tension in them, and they need that time to get into the zone, to get there, to be ready. Maybe play a little bit of a custom game before, to warm up the fingers and so forth and so on. So this has also to be taken into consideration. So there was a long monologue. I'm very sorry for that, but I think it's good to explain it honestly and openly and say sorry for the issues on stream. I do not think it was unwatchable, to give a little sidekick here, but we will do everything we can to have it back in fashion next time.
But with all of this being said, and with all of the issues that we had, we obviously learned quite a bit from that, right?
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things that we will fix for the next time. There are a couple of things that will not happen next time because the venue will have learned quite a bit. There's always a human factor as well, which you will never be able to rule out, but you will be able to test a lot of things so that the human factor is not gonna make as much damage as it did this time. I mean, we had funny things. All of the players are instructed not to close the browser because the player cams go over a video ninja scene, and the first thing Xlot did was close the browser, so we didn't have his player cam anymore. Obviously, we then have to close both player cams for the viewers because you cannot show a gray little screen for the entire time. Those things will always happen, but of course, this is one of the major topics, not the only, but one of the major topics that we will find a solution for if there's a Rara 2024 and every single one beyond that for those ones as well, obviously. This cannot be the standard, and we will find a way to show more matches, less breaks, shorter breaks, and also what Planisphere just said, more exciting program around the games, I would say. And I agree. One of the things that we can definitely do for the future is pick up a couple of extra voices so that the community at home does not have to see the same 5 or 6 people and listen to the same 5 or 6 people over and over again.
I want to say that not everything was our fault, because I don't want to name names, but Link just reminded me. There was a certain Night Elf player from Brazil who was supposed to play on the stage.
Of which there are so many.
You know, people can make it out. And he was supposed to set up on stage. He was supposed to log into his account, and then he forgot his password for 20 minutes. Like,
by the way, that wasn't the only player who forgot his password. I had a player who was then playing on his third account, but because he forgot all the other passwords and got locked out by his 2-out. So it was not the only one. There were multiple of them.
Great.
One player even played on my account, by the way. So there is a VOD where my old, I think it's Paranoics, my very old, when I was using Blizzard thing, so he played with my account because he couldn't log into any of his.
Nice. Yeah, and another thing that people mentioned a lot is why don't you jump into other games? It's a bit more difficult with the vMix sound setup that we had than just with OBS, as for example Sparta did or Frenchcraft did, and we only had 2 observer PCs. So while this might not have been the best decision, I would have hated the following scenario. We finally get the game running. We have the observer in, we got the backup observer, or we got the observer in, but the backup observer is still in the other game we casted before. Then what if the observer crashes? Then again, we have no game, and people would say, yeah, why don't you have a backup observer? Like, that could have happened as well. For next time, just get a third observer in for exactly these situations, and everything is solved, right? It's so easy, but we were scrapped for PCs, we were scrapped for space, we were scrapped for screens, we were scrapped for power cables. Yeah, and that's why we couldn't do that, really.
Maybe to anticipate the next question, because the next point and many feedbacks that we received was, if you cannot do it on the mainstream, why is there no B stream then? That's a really great idea, and we would have loved to do that. But one thing that we really have to think about is how do we use each square meter of the location in the most efficient way, and how do we get the most people in? As you all know, tickets were sold out super quickly, so we would have loved to have more square footage actually to put more players in there. But at the same time, you also have to think about how do we make this the best community event ever. And one of the things that we take quite a bit of pride in is how multilingual, if this is a word in any way, this event was. So we had a French stream, we had a German stream over at Frenchcraft and at Sparta, but we also had Poncho, who streamed for the Kyrgyz community, and we had Forks there. And if we would have used another room for a B stream in English, we would have had another less... We are already thinking about if this was the most efficient way, because the room of Forks, for example, was huge. There could have been 15 extra computers there, where more people could have been there as a player. And that's a really hard decision. It's a really hard decision to make, to say, do we want to have one extra caster so that more people at home in Portuguese, for example, can experience Raraland from home, where we don't really have that much of a benefit of as a community organizer or tournament organizer? Or do we want to put 15 extra desks with computers in there and have more people playing? Yeah. So a B stream in English and an extra room that is once again blocked for just one person sitting at a computer was simply not a good idea venue-wise, sadly, this time.
And freaking Carson decided to go on tour when we do Raraland. Otherwise, he could have done maybe a B stream, or I don't know, Qbert and friends, whatever. Also, question: why don't you use Flow TV with no delay? We had server issues already, and if I might be mistaken here, but I think I'm kind of right. If there's a lot of load on the server, then the first thing it shuts down is Flow TV. So we can't always rely on Flow TV, especially if we know that servers are having issues already. So that was not an easy call to make, for sure.
Yeah, we also didn't really have the biggest power internet in place, right? They since upgraded it, but for the event, the internet, there were so many weird situations. I don't know if we are boring people here with all of this, but the calculations we made to find out whether the internet capacity that they had would be enough were so funny as well. We basically put Giannis into all different sorts of situations with the task manager open, checking how much internet one computer might use. And then we found out that if everyone was to play and have one instance of the broadcast open at the same time, and our production on top of that, it should barely be enough. Was a really good moment, but also that meant that we would have to communicate to everyone to please not have multiple streams open. And that's one of the situations where even the holy Warcraft community can, after a couple of Astra Rakete, be not too great at, because on the middle of the second day, we started having some internet issues. Luckily enough, a lot of people did not notice, because we started running out through the venue and checking every single computer where nobody was playing at the moment, of course, because we didn't want to interrupt any important games and all of the other events that were happening simultaneously to the Being Esports World Series. And I found so many computers with like 17 stream instances open. Like Sparta is open, Back to Warcraft is open twice, YouTube video running at the same time. So we closed all of those down. That happens, obviously. That's also not an issue that we're going to have in the future at BaseTech, because they have tenfolded their internet capacity since then.
Yeah. We also, like, it wasn't all unlucky. There was one instance where we actually were a little lucky, because, Yannick, you got your feet wet a little bit. Want to talk about the pipe breaking?
Oh, the pipe breaking in the actual arena, or like
did we have multiple pipes breaking? I'm only aware of the one.
I'm just gonna tell you about this one. That was so crazy. I go into the arena to talk to Hipposaur, who was playing at the time, and I talked to him. I look to the right, and there's this little drop of water coming down.
Didn't you just crash your feet almost?
Yeah. And then it's like 20 more drops coming down. And then there's like this, it wasn't really a river, but it was like a tiny river coming down from the water, from the ceiling, down the wall. And then there's this big puddle of water forming close to Hipposaur. And I knew that he was already, I think, grabbing all of his stuff to stand up. So I turned around, ran out of the arena, went to the guy managing the entire venue, so the CEO of the venue, and told him, and he was like, yeah, we know that happens every now and then. Got some people in, because when I went through this thing, I almost fell down. I almost face planted very, very drastically. So that was like, I think the words that I used was, I ran out and was like, we need to make sure that none of our players die. So we need to go in there right now and fix that. That was, but those are the things that you don't really remember anymore with all of the other issues.
True. There was so much, and the venue had no stakes in that. By the way, it was from the hotel above, and it was in a room that was not there was no guest in it. It was closed anyway, or it was empty, whatever. And there was this I don't know the English expression, but pipe break or whatever. So water was just running into the house, and it came down right behind the right hand side player. So they couldn't do much about it. And I just want to underline, even though we had all these issues and there was all the stress, I'm so thankful for our entire team and for the team at BaseTech and everyone who was helping here and there, because I think even though we had all these issues, what mainly was visible was a delay on stream. And apart from that, I did not get any feedback. By the way, feedback, exclamation mark, Rara feedback. You can give us feedback anonymously there. We did not receive any feedback that anything was bad. And I think nobody realized what pain was put upon us on this weekend and on all these days and how many things went wrong. So a huge shout out to everybody who was involved. Thank you, because our team really killed it this weekend to make sure nobody was very much tackled by these issues, apart from the stream where we couldn't make up for it.
Yeah, it's very clear that everyone who was at the event, at least I have not heard a majorly negative voice yet. Everyone at the event was very, very happy, and obviously everyone watching from home had a bit more feedback, of course, which is totally understandable. And as already mentioned, we are going to fix these things for the next iteration, if there is one. I have to say this every single time because I don't want anyone to hate me if we don't manage to do one. But yeah, that all of these things still somehow did not break the event in half, or in more pieces than half, actually.
I guess story time is over with that. A little quick round of questions if you guys still have some time.
Yeah, of course.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay,
I think we explained everything, and we said thank you to so many people. So dish out your questions. I mean, many questions were, will there be a Raraland 2024? As Gideon said, we cannot say for sure now. What we can say is we definitely want to do one. And
Talk for
we
yourself.
definitely want to make it happen. And it's looking good, but we cannot promising anything right now. But you will find out as soon as possible.
Let's talk about some positive things, I would say.
Yeah.
We spoke about so many negative things. So let's
Yeah.
what do you guys actually really like about Raraland? And what would you make better? What would you change for the future?
What I like is all the personal interaction with people. Standout moment for sure was on Thursday evening, I think. Someone came up and wanted to have a very old version of Warcraft Deluxe Edition signed, and then he hugged me and started to tear up a little bit and said, "Oh, you and your content, you kind of got me through rough years in my life." And then I started tearing up, and it was a super heartfelt moment. Super awesome, dude. That was big. Emo kind of guy that I am, of course, cherish these moments. Then there's other stuff like seeing people again after such like a decade, maybe. I met David, who's in chat, who looks like I went with him to China for a GCS tournament. He was just there as a fan after creating Warcraft 3.info. And back then, he was like a business kind of guy, button-up shirt, looking fine, looking dapper. And there he is with like a Fukuhila kind of guy. Man, Berlin is changing people. Looking like a half a hobo. Still an awesome dude after all these years. And seeing Sir Kato again, who supports us for 10 years plus, who gave me a little gift as well, which was super lovely. And just the boys, like the Remo, Todd, now Qbert, my friend Lawlight, etc. Just great to have this personal interaction.
Yeah, I think so too. The players were really great this time. I already shout outed Happy, who was really really cool and was very surprised and very thankful. And I think overall I love the atmosphere, and I already said it. What I love the most about the event is that we made it possible and made it to overcome all these negative things without the team is getting depressed or anything even. So everybody kept their mood up, everybody kept their excitement up inside the team, and it carried over to the community, and it came back from the community. And I think this was the greatest thing about it, that we really had an amazing event. It really was a great event. And of course, in such a feedback talk, we are talking about many of the things that did not work well. But if we think about how the community events ran, it was amazing, and it was a definite upgrade to last year. When we think about the venue in general, yeah, it was not finished, and we talked about the bad points here, but it was a great venue, and they put in so much effort to make it a amazing home for Raraland. And I think they definitely managed to. It was way better with the bar. Last year we had these issues that the bar wasn't open until, I don't know, 5 p.m. or anything. This time it went like a charm. All the people, the line wasn't too long. Of course, there were these times in between games or anything where people had to wait a little bit. The front office, like our admins and the people who took care of the players, of the viewers, of the people, were amazing. Our partner, Kuchenmeister, with the koalas were really amazing, and it was so much fun working together with them, because they really liked that we had this also like funny approach how to integrate such a brand with the koalas in there. So there were so many positive things that overweight, of course, as we can see in the feedback, and probably as you who have been there experienced it. There were so many positive things that they easily overweight the negative ones that we talked about today. And we to put it in the right light, we talked about the negative things today, because these are normally the ones you do not see, and people have like these questions in their head: why didn't they just do this? Why didn't they just do that? And even though we talked about negative points a lot today, and it was still a very, very good event from my point of view. People had fun. People had the time that they wanted to. The entire weekend, and just the energy that could be felt all weekend long was probably my best time.
So I would say the easy answer would be obviously how positive everybody was, especially at the venue itself, and how thankful everybody was. I keep saying thank you back to the Warcraft community because it is the most supportive one in that regard. We have done these events for a couple of different titles, and the communities involved with those titles now, and I constantly get in trouble for saying that because I know these other communities quite well as well, but the Warcraft community is second to none when it comes to being supportive, and people
Absolutely.
like a couple of Russian players suddenly brooming the front entrance to clean it for us and helping us. Super amazing.
Shout out Razor Moon who did that, and Dice as well.
That was so. Yeah, Dice actually grabbed the broom. That was pretty cool. So many awesome people, so supportive. But I would say my favorite moment this time was actually the Foggy Moon incident.
The signing session.
That was so damn cute. The signing sessions, first of all, were an amazing success. Neo and I were like, oh, how many people would actually give their signature or like would want the signature from the pros? We put up like 4 tables, set a couple of pros behind it, and the row was super long, and there was like an hour and 30 minutes of signing sessions on the first day. And then on the second day, we put Happy and Moon there, and Foggy actually got in line. And he did not only get in line, he asked me at 8:30 in the morning when the signing session with Moon would be, so that he would definitely not miss it. Yeah. And then he did not miss it. Absolute legend, that guy. Got in line, waited for 20 minutes just to get the signature from Moon, and he was so freaking happy. And that was a pretty awesome scene to witness.
And he was sitting with Moon the entire weekend. Yeah. They were in the same pro room, so he could have approached him any time, but he did respect him so much to not interfere in his tournament preparations or tournament atmosphere that he rather decided to wait for the signing session, get in line, and not go to fast lane to just turn around in the pro room.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope that this is not going to be too cringy now, but that is actually that is a perfect entrance for the points for one of the points that I would like to improve for the next iteration. Which is one of the amazing things. And I know that we are just playing Warcraft here and that it's just computer games and that it's quite simple. But one of the things that these events can do for a community that is more than 20 years old and still somehow alive, however that happened, I guess you had a big point in that, Neo. It brings people together. And Foggy actually is a perfect sad symbol for the things that are happening in the world right now and that are not too great in the world right now. And there are so many things that are happening that bring us into the wrong trajectory, in my opinion. And usually if a lot of people meet a lot of people from other countries, that means that the future is brighter. And then if you find new friends from other countries and from other cultures, that means that the future is brighter. And one thing that really annoys me is that we still have not had a couple of really strong Chinese pros at Raraland. That really sucks because I would like to bring the Chinese community closer to us as well. And so that would be one thing that I would really love to see some of the old school Chinese pros, to have them over at Dortmund or wherever we would go next.
I mean, we did improve a little bit from last year to this year, right? This year we had South America, which we haven't had before. So all we need is China and Oceania, I guess. And then we need to find someone at the North or South Pole. I don't know what's considered a continent. Then we got it all.
They played a Tusker race. It's not implemented yet.
Don't. But yeah, for sure. So there was a question regarding the finances. You talked about that at the beginning. Yeah. My question is, how successful was it financially overall for Back to Warcraft, for the staff, for the sponsors, etc.? Was it a success? I really hope it was.
I will make it fast. Rara 2022 kind of sucked financially. We knew that was likely going to happen. It was also a deal with the Arcadia. They took part of a couple of the euros from the budget. Took care, not took part. But 2022 was a huge financial drain, basically. 2023 was much better. We are very likely to break even. You can still help with that by typing !merch in the chat. and buying the last couple of t-shirts that we still have, because we are very close to breaking even, actually. But please do not feel sad or sorry about us. We knew that was going to happen. Very young company, being esports, that is. And we are trying to create these events to make them better and better and better and better and better. And if they are good enough and if they are big enough, we will make a living from that one day or the other. And it looks really good for the next one. So we have really, really good options. We have partners that are very happy, and hopefully will join the next one again. And if we then find a second or a third one, we will make a profit next year.
What's Benny's heart rate right now? I need
already
a
answered that. That is an insider with my guy, the best of all of them. No, not the best, but I love him. And my heart rate during the event was basically the entire day around 130. and he heard me talking about it, I think when we were outside smoking or anything, and so this was an insider. It is 98 right now.
All right. Other merch would be nice. Winter hats is something. No one wants to buy arm sleeves.
Oh yeah, that's all right. It's just one of 15 things. It's just one of 15. I actually have an idea, but I don't know if I should make that public yet, or somebody's gonna steal it. So I'm just gonna say it. My idea for the funding of Rara 2024 would be to print 200 t-shirts with Happy's face on it, and then Rara 23, it was all right below it. And then we would take the full money of whatever that merch shop would make and put it into Rara 24.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good idea.
I think we can even spend it because 2022 in the winter interview, he said the same, right? So we can, all Raralands by now were Happy's face, all right.
Rara is quite all right.
I mean, we have it as an emote now. We just have to scale it up a little bit. And
exactly.
There's the shirt. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Look, some other people asked questions, right? Africa was not represented. I don't think so.
We had Riva from South Africa.
Oh, true. From
like living in Saudi, coming from South Africa. So it is. First thoughts when you got back home. I slept for 20 hours. So I didn't think much at all. And I had to set up my phone and connect my lights again, my Philips Hue and stuff. That was annoying. Why create those? Sorry. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I thought
you have to answer as well. Yeah, true. I'm not alone.
So the first thoughts when you're coming home, it feels quite empty in the first place, at least for me, all the time, because as I said before, you're running around 5 days straight with 130 heart rate, so many people around you, you have so much pressure on your shoulders because you know you are doing something for around 300 people here, and they paid for it, and they trust on you, and they rely on you to give them a great event, and you're under so much stress. But it's a positive way of stress. I do not want to sound like it's bad. It's very, very great. It's the best way of stress I ever feel. But you feel empty in the first place. But at least Yannick and I, we did not have much time for thinking about the event in the first place, because he mentioned it multiple times now. We are a small company. We have 4 full-time employees, and so 2 more than just Yannick and me. We
had a meeting with Moon's management at 7 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, exactly. So
that
was crazy.
We went straight into working again. We didn't even sleep. I have by now not slept more than 5 or maybe 6 hours a night since Raraland began, because when we are there's 1 week that we are gone entirely. The week before is, of course, much planning for Raraland, meaning there are 2 weeks where all 4 employees are basically just taking care of Raraland, and we have so many other projects as well, and meetings to cover, that we all postpone after Raraland, or to the time after Raraland, that we went straight into working again. So there was not much time to think about. But especially on the train ride, you're sitting there and you feel something between happiness, emptiness, thankfulness, and try just to comprehend what just happened. And I mean, you heard now what the hurdles that we had to overcome, and on the other hand, the excitement and the crowd cheering when everything went down, and the final moments of the event were so emotional again. And it's hard to comprehend that. So it takes some time. This is also one of the reasons that it took now one or a little bit more than 1 week that we have this podcast here, because it just takes some time. But you feel I feel happy, I feel thankful, but I also feel a bit empty.
I will make it short. I was just sad that it was over. We met a lot of individuals that were working on the event on the day after the event, so on Monday morning. And we had suddenly, out of coincidence, like 15 people or 12 people from the team there. A couple of them still drunk, I think. And then,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They had not even slept yet, I think. I was not specifically talking about you, by the way. There were a couple more of those. We met a certain person who was on his way to the central station. And he was so through. Yeah. So it almost felt as if we were doing day 4, because it felt like our daily morning meetings, which we do always for these events every day to make sure that we don't do the mistakes again that we did the day before, basically. So I was just sad that it was over. And that was it. I wasn't as happy. I thought I would be super happy that it would be over this time, because, as Benni mentioned, a lot of other things to do. But I could have stayed another day, I think. But then again, I did sleep from Sunday to Monday, so I had energy left, basically.
Yeah, I haven't. I was in the crew with Neo.
Let's fucking go. Okay, there was one more thing that I might want to mention, but that's ending stuff on a low note. Anyway, I came back and I got my phone back into Wi-Fi, and I was pretty happy with everything overall, but of course super dead inside because of how physically demanding it all is with the stress, etc. And how emotionally drained I was, because I got a lot of love that weekend, and that is awesome. And then I open my phone on the couch and I see Raraland was unwatchable because Neo and his black fingernails and all the breaks and his woke agenda. And of course it's a stupid comment, but if that's the first thing you read, that hit me in the gut a little bit for like 5 minutes until I processed and recovered and everything. But yeah, for 5 minutes that kind of sucked. So I miss my offline crew for sure.
I think for these events you just have to go the post and ghost way. So like for the 24 to 48 hours after it, just don't, like, even with a community this positive, you just have to just let it sit for a moment and have your own thoughts. But yeah, I mean, we can go back to ending it on a high note. I would say 95% sure that we're gonna do a Rara 2024. I'm actually, like, I'm the kind of person I would like to do one in summer and one in winter every single year from now on. I'm not sure if that's gonna be feasible, and I don't know if we destroy the magic by doing that. But it's at least a thing that crossed our minds. But I'm quite certain that we're gonna do it, and we're just gonna make sure to get you a really good makeup artist, and then we're gonna bring us some more people.
Yeah, I'm thinking about wearing a skirt.
Oh yeah.
Something. I have to, like, someone has to remind me next year that I have to trigger this person even more. Like, into oblivion. I want daily Reddit threads because of my outfits.
But then again, yeah, right. Let's do it. Let's do it while focusing on making the event better in other ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though that's probably gonna be really good content, so it's gonna be really good stuff. See, we have Natalie. She's gonna maybe lend you a really nice Harry Potter themed skirt.
Nice.
And then she's also gonna bring some makeup. Perfect.
Okay, we go shopping. You dress me up. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, but be sure that she gives you one of the skirts that of her longer ones. Otherwise, I mean, you're an old man now. You don't want to do the Big Ben clock.
there's nothing big down there, dude. I can tell you, so that's no problem. But yeah, to end things on a high note, from my side, I'm freaking proud that we can do this, and it's kind of funny thinking back how it all started with the beer in the Arcadia, and then it went to 12 beers, and that you reached out, Yannick, because Freaks for You and ESL were able to do one Meisterschaft final with an audience in 3.5 years. DreamHack never had an offline event after Anaheim, and we can do it back to back. It's pretty dope.
Pretty dope.
Pretty
Pretty-
dope.
it's all right.
It's all right.
I don't see why this community that has survived for such a long time and that should have been dead, to be very honest, right? Why we shouldn't be able to do this for a long time. And if for some reason one day in the future Warcraft is not going to be the RTS title of choice, you heard me saying it. I'm optimistic. And I will stay that way. I really think the RTS genre is the next one to pop off again. I think it's going to be a big renaissance for the RTS genre. So if it's ever not going to be a Raraland for Warcraft 3, then it might be one for another title. But for now, I would say let's just hope that we're going to do a lot more Warcraft events. And maybe some foreshadowing. We might do some smaller, more local ones. Let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, let's see what's gonna happen, and please help us in getting better. I read it in the chat multiple times. People saying we heard the feedback from last year and we tried to make it better, and they saw it. We want to do this for next year as well. So please, help us. Send your feedback. Gideon just triggered it in the chat again. Just send us your feedback. It helps us a lot because, as you saw in this podcast, we see many things behind the scenes, and there are for sure things we miss that viewers, players, and people who watch the stream see that we simply cannot see because we have our eyeballs somewhere else. And so help us by getting feedback together, and we will do whatever we can to fulfill it. And I'm looking forward to 2024 and whatever will happen in Warcraft 3 and the RTS universe together with Back to Warcraft and being esports.
Also, why did why did Moon play so good right after our event, right? Couldn't he have done that in the final? God damn it. That would have been sick. Sorry.
I mean, he got a map, and that was good enough. We got the moon.
Yeah.
That we can play now over and over and over. So it's all right.
It was all right, indeed. All right.
All right.
I don't know if there are any other specific questions or if we can wrap this up. I guess the time has come. This was fun.
Yeah,
This was really fun.
should do this more often.
I don't know if people, we talked about so many negative things. We will have to let everyone breathe and enjoy the content for a while. Maybe in 3 months or something. After the first iteration of the Dutch Championship, maybe we can do another one. Talk about what we did wrong there.
Next week is not next week. Is the qualifier next week? No, the week
No,
after.
in 2
right?
weeks we moved it by one, but people don't know that we moved it by one.
What? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I know
now you
that we did.
understand.
Yeah. All right, guys. You heard a lot about why things happened the way it did. If you still have feedback for us, Rara feedback in the chat. As you can see, we are listening and reading pretty much everything, and it's anonymous, so do whatever you feel is right. There's still some leftover merch at Rara Merch in the chat. And of course, you would help us a ton by signing up for our German, Austrian, Swiss championship. The qualifiers are up, and I got some good names there. Longwalk said to me in the bar, dude, I'm just there for like the weekend events, a league thing, maybe not my kind of tournament. And here he is, signed up already. So some good names. I still expect a Hippo here and some other people. So look for it. WC3 Dach Inferno, the new project of Back to Warcraft and Being Esports. Thank you, guys. Do you want the people to follow you as well? Should they maybe follow you somewhere?
Maybe they should.
Damn. Maybe they should. Maybe they should follow Being Esports on Twitter, right? Being Esports Dach to be precise, but actually both would be fine. Being Esports Dach for the Inferno, and then also the normal Being Esports account on Twitter for everything else. I don't know, who should they follow? You can follow me if you want to see the shittiest Warcraft gameplay that you've ever seen. I got coached by Blas last week. I won a game. I won a game.
Dude.
That came out wrong. It is not for Blast that he is so shitty.
No. He coached me, and therefore I won a game, like a real game. I'm actually 2-1 in the ladder, but in the Battle.net ladder right now. But one is because somebody didn't want to play Night Elf Mirror, so I got a death win.
Okay,
shit.
yeah. So gladly follow us. Make sure to join the Being Esports Discord if you want to enter the league, because there will be all the communication around the Inferno. And we are happy if you follow us, and you will not miss out on any news around Warcraft 3, both in the German-speaking region but also international.
All right, guys. We see each other tomorrow for TP League, third last day. I think we get Happy vs. Moon again, if I'm informed correctly. Maybe we don't. Remo's gonna cast for you. I'm gonna be sleeping in. Channels here in the chat. And I'm pretty sure Out of Warcraft will also put them in the video description. Thank you guys for 2.5 hours of your busy schedules. And now have a good night. See you soon.
Goodbye.